All right, so starting this week, we are going to be working on creating our own shapes and designs from those unique shapes. And I'm an illustrator just because it's easier to demonstrate in here, but the principle is very similar in Photoshop. But if you look at our shape menu here, and I believe in Photoshop it's farther down here, but if you're looking at this, you have rectangles, rounded rectangles, ellipse, polygons. Okay, so there's these guys all over here. At this point in the class, the only ones you can use are going to be rectangle and ellipse. Uh, and you'll notice that they are marked with the letters in parentheses with the shortcuts next to them. And it's because those are probably the most commonly used tools or shapes in there. But those are going to be the two that we're going to be working with. Everything else needs to be created with either the pen tool. Let's see, you can use a paintbrush or pencil. You can use pretty much any of these tools in here to create your shapes. Pen tools are kind of weird at first. I mean, you can just click with it and create, polygons that way, and then right-click, join, and then that will give you a nice shape to work with. I've got the stroke on just so we can see, but let's try it without and see what that looks like. There we go. So there's a shape. We could come back in. You'll see how it. Here, I'll put it up there, and maybe you can see where that's at. There's a gap in there, but if I select, right-click it, and join, does it do it? Didn't. There we go. And you can see now that that blue line connects right up and through there. So that's kind of where we're at with our shapes. And then here you can. There's kind of an interesting interaction there. Sure, whatever. That's just clicking with the pen tool. Now, if you're going to use the pen tool and you hold down your mouse while you're dragging your shape, you'll notice that it gives you these handles. You can do some kind of crazy things with that. And then again, join. It's like it doesn't want to. Okay, there we go. I'm just hitting it wrong. There we go. Yeah, just doing it wrong. So there we go. And that's, kind of a nice rounded shape there. In the software, that's selected, or is the selection tool rather, is sort of the default. But if you come into the direct selection tool, you can come into these here, click on those anchor points, pull them out, get the handles there, move those, right? Move those. Some kind of interesting things that you can do with that. Let's take that. I'll move it to the front and stick that on top. Shrink it down. Stick it over there. So now we're starting to deal with some more unique and interesting shapes that we can work with. Change things around individually. I won't really talk about the layers menu much, but you can use layers in Illustrator. But in Photoshop, these will come in on their own layers, so you sort of have to use the layers, which is good because it helps organize. If you look over here under my layers menu, it already has all the shapes sort of separated out. And if I want, I can move them around that way, or I can just use keyboard shortcuts, or I can go up to Object, Arrange, and then the Bring to Front, Bring to Back option. So anyway, let's see, what other options do we have here? You can use pen tool like so. I'm going to, see it's got the stroke there. I'm going to turn the stroke off, and I'm going to turn the fill to, let's say, dark gray. Oops, first let me join it. Now I can turn it to dark gray. There we go. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of an interesting shape as well, right? Maybe, I don't know. We can make it work. Let's see, let's try making it bigger. Lower the value even more. And then I want to turn that stroke off again. And there we go. I can even move it to the back if I want. So anyway, there's a lot of advantages to making your own shapes, and that's kind of where we want to start with these, is just using probably the pen tool to start, and then you can use the brush tool as well. The big key in Illustrator is to join your shape at the end so you don't have any open ends. Seems to keep things cleaner. And then from here, And from here, there's a couple of things that we can start to look at. I'll just shrink these shapes all down here. Oops. Where'd you go? There. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. There we go. Okay, so what I want to do now is just sort of move these down, move them out of the way a little bit. I'm going to group them together, object group, so that way whenever I click on them, the whole thing moves. So those are out of the way. Let's see, what are some other things that you can do? Let's try our pen tool again. Join. Okay. Now, the blend tool we used for creating colors last week, but we can also do some pretty interesting things with the blend tool and shape. So I'm going to create, I don't know, it's one of my generic flowery things here. Let's get rid of, let's give it that. No, let's get rid of there. There we go. Okay, so fill it with that, and then let's turn the stroke off. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to set them so that they're the same. Here, let's just make them black. Why not? And these are just sort of arbitrary shapes, right? I'm not really concerned about what they are just yet, but what I do care about is blending them. And I can come into the blend tool and go to blend options, and we don't want smooth color. We, again, like those specified steps, and let's just do, I don't know, 5, just some random number. Then I'm going to come into my blend tool, and there we go. So this progression here is registering as one single shape, right? So now we come into blend, expand, okay? It's still grouped together, but it's, you'll notice that it's showing up as being 7 different objects. So we go into ungroup, so object ungroup, and notice what we can do now. We can take those shapes and we can use them. It seems kind of strange, but you know, it's a really nice way of creating shapes. And I'll show you an even sort of better application of that. Let's try the paintbrush, and you can scribble. This is one of my favorite things to do. I'm just going to scribble, and I'm going to fill. Oops, didn't click it. There we go. Sorry, there we go. All right, now fill, and I'll turn the stroke off. Okay, so this makes kind of an interesting shape. And you know, what do we do with that? Well, we can use that on its own. That's nice. Or we can take it and, let's see, I'm going to try rotating it so that it takes up a little more, less space on the screen. I'm going to take that and let's just try a rectangle, a square. Okay. I'm going to use my blend tool again. And you see what happens there. That looks like they all got kind of pressed together, but that's fine. I'm going to take that blend and I'm going to go into blend, expand, object, ungroup. And now I have some great shapes to work with. Now, you'll notice I didn't join it, and that's why it's going to give me this strange shape here. So you kind of want to watch out for that. But this is a great way to make unique shapes. You know, you can come in here and work with them that way. You know, let's see. Maybe like so. Okay. Like as a background, that could be really amazing. So, yeah. Long story short is that you need to find ways of creating interesting shapes. You know, they're not always obvious and they're not always standing right in front of you. So what you have to do is find ways of creating shapes in the software that are going to give you sort of the feel, mood, tone, whatever that you want. And like if that was sort of the beginning of a design, I think we could work with that. Bring this guy in here. You know, already that's starting to feel like a pretty decent composition. Grab these shapes here. Move them back maybe up a little bit. Maybe around. Rotate. I don't know. We're on our way, right? I mean, that's pretty nice. And then if I came in and cropped that, right? Not bad. Seems all right. Random, but not too bad. So anyway, if you do have questions, though, please let me know.